I like my friend Dave. We do belong to the string family. You can see why we're related. We're made of wood. We have 4 strings. We have similar shapes. Mine's a little smaller than his, but they're similar. We play with a bow that's made out of wood, and on the other side has horsehair. We use that bow to contact our string to make a sound out of our instrument. So here's a little bit of the violin for you, and then Dave will play cello.
This, again, is the cello. It's bigger than the violin. Is it going to have a higher sound or a lower sound? Lower. Lower is right, yeah. The cello is really known for having a really mellow sound. And so it's a lot of times used for kind of sing-songy type things and sometimes really beautiful floating lines. I'm going to play some Bach for you right now. This is a really famous cello piece.
First thing you notice, I have 3 parts. There's the head joint, the body, and the foot joint. Okay, and then I have these buttons. Okay, so like the strings, when they make their string longer, they play the whole string. It's big, right? So to make my instrument big, I have to press these buttons down, and I get a lower tone. So the low register of the flute sounds a little like this. Here's a few notes. And that's with this button pressed down. So as I take fingers up, is the pitch going to go up or down? Yeah. All right, so let's hear what that sounds like. So it goes up pretty high, okay? So now I'm going to demonstrate a little bit of what the flute sounds like just from a short little excerpt by Telemann.
Brass instruments look alike, you can tell they're from the same family, but in the woodwinds, the instruments don't necessarily look very much alike or even made out of the same things. Dennis plays a woodwind instrument, but it's not made out of wood. The oboe, which actually means high wood, the word means that, is made of wood. We don't have any wood like this that grows in the United States that is this dark or is this hard. If we threw this in water, it would sink like a stone. Believe me, sometimes we're tempted. So, meaning high wood, the oboe plays high notes. We have a high range. We tend to play melodic things and exotic things. And you might be surprised that the oboe itself doesn't make any noise. The reed that makes the noise, and it causes a vibration. So it makes that tiny little sound. When you put it in the instrument amplifies that and makes it sound surprisingly big and rich. So it's really an amplifier, just not an electronic one. A real typical melody for oboe would be the one I'm about to play, and this is from an opera called Samson and Delilah by a composer named Saint-Saëns that we're going to be playing later.
The unique thing about the brass family is the way we produce our sound. If you notice, our instrument's made of metal or brass, but other instruments, even in the woodwind family, are also made of metal, but they're not brass instruments. And what classifies us as brass instruments is the way we make our sound. We don't have a reed to blow into to produce a sound. We have to make all the sound with our own lips. So we make a a buzzing sound or a raspberry sound sometimes here. Can everybody do that? Yeah? Now, when we put it in our mouthpiece, it sounds kind of weird, a lot like the oboe in some ways. So really we control how high or how low we play through the mouthpiece for the most part, and instruments and amplifier as well. Trumpet is one of the highest brass instrument. We have a trombone too, which is the middle and lower range. There's also a French horn. Anybody heard of a French horn? It's in the brass. And the tuba. So the members of our brass family go from higher range instruments to lower range instruments. Basically, brass instruments are plumbing. So big pieces of tubing. This one, if I were to stretch it out, would be about 4 feet. Actually, as a little project, I made a trumpet at the hardware store. So this is a little 4 feet section of hose. If you took my trumpet and stretched it all out, this is what you'd see. We don't want to do that though, because it costs me a lot of money. And I have a little trumpet mouthpiece on the end of my hose horn here, and I can produce notes on it. So basically a funnel, a piece of tubing, and a mouthpiece is a trumpet, or a brass instrument. And what happens when we put that, we use a brass to get sort of a different sound out of the horn. And if you notice on my instrument, I have these 3 little posts here, right? These are valves. That instrument I made doesn't have the ability to play any other notes other than those. So what the valves do is allow me to add links of tubing. So what do you think would happen if I added links of tubing as I was playing? Would the instrument go higher or lower? When I add links of tubing? Lower. Lower, right. So on a trumpet, so the valves allow me to play those other notes in between. If I didn't have the valves, so it sounds almost the same as the brass instruments typically in the orchestra usually play loud or fanfare-ish kind of calls. I like to play a call from a Beethoven piece, Leonore.
Trombone oftentimes is playing like funny music. The trombone is sort of the jokester of the orchestra. But at the same time, it's the slide that allows the trombone to actually emulate the human voice.
And finally, Lynn, our percussionist. Lynn, I've always wondered, how many percussion instruments are there?
Well, we have a really hard time counting, but a teacher of mine counted over 30 years ago, and he counted over 200. So they're growing more and more at a time, and I have to know how to play all of them. Yes. And I also have to carry them around. So we just lost count, and we just keep adding them in.
Over 200?
Over 200. Yeah. I brought about 15 today. Yeah.
Up here, I play one instrument. Dave plays one. Those two play one instrument. Becky and Dennis are playing 2 instruments, but over 200.
Wow. Welcome to my world. Instrument. Did I blow on it or use a bow? How did I get a sound? What did I have to do? Yes? Say it again? I banged on it. Yeah, I was loud, so bang is the appropriate word. Yes. All the instruments in the percussion family, you can identify of the over 200 instruments. They're played by either striking it or shaking it. The snare drum, which I just played, is sort of the main member of the band and the orchestra. You see them in marching bands. Did you feel like marching just now? Yeah, you heard that drum going and your feet are ready to go.